What up guys, GangstaPranksta back with a brand new episode of Gangsta Plays. Today we are here with episode 304, but before we get into today's episode, I hope you guys enjoyed the last episode, episode 303, where we played Mafia 2. Fun little open world game, had a fun time with that. And today's episode, we are here with 304, and I decided to stick with the Mafia theme again. But this time, we're having a little bit more fun with the Mafia theme. With episode 303 of Mafia 2, it's a more serious take on the Mafia, you know, real life stuff, how you come up in the crime business, stuff like that. With this one, it has the Mafia, or maybe they're just Italian guys that are not very friendly. Who knows? We'll wait to find out. But we are playing Guns, Gore, and Cannoli. This is a small little indie game that I've had my eye on for quite a bit. I've always wanted to play it. I really like the art style for some reason. It reminds me of like a book I read as a kid. This reminds me of like an art style that was in one of those books. I can't think of the book or what it's called or whatever, but whenever I see visuals for this game, I just think of like me as a child reading a book. I can't explain it. It's super weird. There's also a second game, so this game was obviously successful enough to warrant a sequel. So there's also Guns, Gore, and Cannoli 2. If you end up checking this out, there's also a sequel that you can play as well. Also, a small little teaser for the end of the episode. Got a little update for Gangster Plays, so look forward to that. A little hint, it's going to be regarding the random episodes of Gangster Plays, which are episodes that end in a 5 or a 0. Small little update to that. I will talk more about that at the end of the video, so just a small little tease for that. So without further ado, let's jump into this world, this Walking Dead world. How did zombies happen? Why are the Mafia the ones taking them out? We're going to go normal. I was going to go hard, but I don't know. What if it's really hard, you know? What other characters do we get? So, there's this guy. Looks pretty cool. He's got a fedora. Got this guy's got a white fedora. No facial hair, though. Unlike Buddy over here. Then we got, like, Hugh Hefner. Or the Don. This could be a Don. Don Hefner. He looks like he's in a robe. A bathrobe. That is, I think, Marlon Brando from the Godfather. I believe his character looks exactly like that. I kind of like that look. We have an astronaut Mafia member. Classic. Always remember, yeah, the astronaut character. This is like a biker slash Terminator look for the Mafia. I'm not really feeling it. This looks like it could be boxing, like a Rocky. This, it's too business casual. It's not like I'm gonna, you know, cut your hand off and kill you and feed you to the fishes. This is more like I do a lot of tax fraud, you know. We got a hot nurse with huge tits. Cool. We got a cop. No cops. No cops. That's a random button. I'm gonna go with, I really like this one. This is like the most Italian Mafia one out of all of them. We're gonna play as this guy. And my name is going to be Giuseppe, because it's just an awesome name.
The 1920s. The Prohibition years. Violent gangs were gaining more and more power by the trade of illegal alcohol. It was a tough time for the average Joe, but not for me. My name is Vinny Cannoli.
Vinny.
And I make an honest living as an enforcer for the mob. But it ain't all fun and games, of course. One time I got a call from a mob boss called Mr. Bellucci.
I think that's me.
He needed me to come to
I'm Mr. Bellucci.
Find some guy named Frank.
Oh yeah, I'm fucking Giuseppe Bellucci.
Wrong with this city. Strange reports had been coming in about bizarre incidents and gruesome murder cases. Violent
I think they're just
rioters
called
had overrun
alcoholics.
Entire areas inside the city. And it seemed the officials had lost all control. It's been days now since the last contact. But nevertheless, I had a job to do. So here I was, about to step in a freaking nightmare.
He's on a boat. He's coming right from Italy to take care of this. What a guy. I gotta say, for a small indie game, having cutscenes and voiceover work, I like it. Oh, he's a big fan of that. Capone. Al Capone? Yeah, these are just alcoholics. They're Irish people, as you can see. St. Paddy's Aftermath.
Morning, everyone. This is your captain speaking. We've just arrived at Thugtown Harbor. Please stay in your cabins until we're fully docked and the bridges have been lowered. Hey, Commander, who are all those people on shore? I don't know, sir, but hey, they're running up to the bridge. They're attacking the sailors. They're invading the ship. Oh, they're everywhere.
Come on, Vinny, you gotta get up.
Take that, you chump-faced goons.
Junk-faced goons? What's going on up there?
I feel like this is already better than Mafia. Let's test out the buttons. That is move. That is shoot. Is there ammo? There is, but it's infinite. That's a melee, jump. How do I reload? Does just... I haven't found a reload button. Oh, it just reloads automatically. I guess that can work too. A to jump. Headshots don't really work out too well.
Take it like a man.
But as you can see, just a cute, fun little aesthetic on the Mafia. I like this. I like this setting a lot. Mafia against the zombie horde. We're just gonna call them drunk people. Reload. There is a reload button. Oh, I guess. I swear I pressed that button and nothing happened. Now we're gonna get a shotgun. It's a tough-ass zombie. He's not gonna die by a shotgun. Okay, we only have 12 shots on that. It's a very sturdy barrel. Oh, they can shoot too?
You're making me nervous here.
You're making me nervous. Wow. Let's toss a grenade.
Just blow the crap out of it.
Beautiful. Okay, that seems like a fun little easy game. B to kick. What are we kicking? Oh, probably that switch, yeah. Oh, you can't. Oh, you can't jump and kick that. Oh, shotgun shells, perfect. We'll go back to that. I wonder if you can upgrade your stuff. Oh, you bastard. So we can only aim left and right and down. You can't aim up. Which is unfortunate, but you know, what are you gonna do? Jump on the stairs to go, okay.
But don't lose your head over it.
I'm assuming this is a pretty short game. We might even be able to finish it. God damn, you and the butcher knives. Might even be able to finish it in this episode. We'll see. Maybe, maybe not. Sometimes indie games are a little bit longer. Oh, save is a red light. Hold A to jump higher. Oh my god, what the fuck, football player? Actually, that's a perfect segue. Football. Just, oh my god, buddy over here. Yo, they can... These zombies can maneuver, what the fuck?
Stop hitting like a broad, you wimp.
Holy shit. Luckily, he can't come in. Okay, I got this... You know what? Grenade? That's a perfect grenade spot right there. But speaking of football player, the Super Bowl happens. Well, actually last week at this point. This episode got a little delayed from when I wanted to upload it. But you know what? Better late than never, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, the Super Bowl happened. It was pretty cool. I did not watch it because I do not give a shit about sports. I don't care about sports. It doesn't have to be It doesn't have to be football, baseball, soccer. I don't care about any of it. But the one thing I do like about the Super Bowl is I used to like the commercials. I don't even care about the commercials now. It's more like the movie trailers. It's like what cool stuff is going to be coming out. And out of all the movie trailers, the trailer I was most excited for, actually there was two that came out that I watched. It was the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 trailer and the Flash trailer. We'll talk about the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 first, because I thought it was a good trailer, but we already got a good look at Guardians from the first trailer they released. With Flash, it's only been teasers. But my god, they more than made up for it with this trailer, because I feel like I've kind of seen the whole movie at this point. They revealed a lot. I'm still excited for it, but yeah, they revealed, in my opinion, way too much. Like everything. Like, I feel like I've seen everything. We're getting 2 Batmans, we're getting a Supergirl, we're getting 2 Flashes, General Zod. It takes place in the Man of Steel universe. They really did not save anything for the movie. So I wish they would have held back a little bit, but this is the first trailer, and the movie comes out in like June or something. There's still enough time, actually, but I'm still excited for the movie, just because it seems like it could be really fun. You got Michael Keaton as Batman, you got Ben Affleck as Batman. Well, you got Ezra Miller as 2 Flashes, not just 1 Flash, 2 Flashes. Which I think is going to be very confusing for people who don't know what the fuck is going on. But I think the trailer looks good. I'm pretty excited for it. There's only one thing that I'm kind of confused about in the movie. And that's the whole Barry's mom dies situation. Where his mom dying is so heavily tied to Reverse Flash. But that doesn't seem to be the case in this movie. There's no mention of Reverse Flash. I think there might be a tease. So the trailer is so full of stuff that it's the type of trailer that you watch those YouTube videos for that break down the trailers, because like there's a lot. It's like a 2.5 minute, almost 3 minute trailer, but there's a lot of shit that happens in it. So I ended up looking at some YouTube channel that like broke it down, and somebody mentioned this, and after they mentioned it, I'm like, oh shit, I can see that. And the thing they mentioned was the second Barry Allen wears a lot of yellow. If you watch the trailer, when Barry first meets the other Barry, he's in a yellow hoodie. As a kid, we see him in a yellow shirt. So is that foreshadowing that he's actually the Reverse Flash? And I thought that was a pretty interesting point of view. I didn't pick up on that when I watched the trailer, so I was like, what if Reverse Flash is pretending to be Barry, or this Barry is the Reverse Flash, and for some reason he wants to kill his mom and do whatever. Not too sure, but it could be a possibility, and I thought that was a really fun idea, so I really like that idea, so we'll have to wait to see. But yeah, his mom is just so closely tied to his mom's death is so closely tied to Reverse Flash. It's just super weird that there's no mention of him or anything. So I don't know if he's actually going to appear in the movie, but it's a possibility. But other than that, I think it looks pretty good. The whole Supergirl thing. I really like Michael Keaton as Batman, even though he's 70 plus years old, and the man is still playing fucking Batman. That's crazy. I hope there's some teases for stuff in the Michael Keaton world, like when Barry goes back, maybe there's like a mention of Joker or something. Just something along those lines that we know that he's been fighting crime or retired. Something. Maybe he's got a Robin, you know, similar to the Ben Affleck Batman, where he's got, you know, a costume of Robin in his Batcave, and we're led to believe that, you know, he had a Robin and the Robin's dead for whatever reason. Well, it was Joker that killed him. That was what was implied. But maybe like a Penguin thing, maybe a Penguin, Catwoman, somebody from one of those movies. So yeah, anyways, back to the Flash movie. I'm pretty interested to see how that plays out, and obviously that's supposed to set up the future of the DC universe. I discussed my thoughts on that in the last episode, where I talked about, you know, the new plans that they have and everything they've announced, you know, Brave and the Bold and shit like that. So if you want to hear my thoughts on that, go check out Mafia 2, the last episode of Gangsta Plays. But yeah, and then the Super Bowl, they had the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer. I know there were some other trailers that were revealed during the Super Bowl, but these were the only two that I was kind of interested in. Like, I know there was a Fast 10 trailer, but that doesn't interest me at all. I've seen like 1 or 2 Fast and the Furious movies, and that's about it. I'm not really invested in the franchise, so I didn't really care. So I didn't watch that. It was just Guardians and Batman, or Flash. I guess you can also consider it a Batman movie of sorts. But the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 trailer, I thought it was really sad. Like, it was a good trailer, don't get me wrong. I loved it. It was just so fucking sad. The song that was playing, I was just getting like teary-eyed. I was like, holy fuck, man. Yeah, this is the end of the Guardians of the Galaxy. A franchise that I didn't know. I knew of them, but I didn't really know about them. That's the words I want to use. I always heard about Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, you know, they're the space guys. And when they first announced them as part of the movie, and like, oh yeah, we're going to adapt them as part of the MCU, it's like, ugh, this is a franchise nobody really knows about. And now it's like, it's some of the best MCU movies, and the third one looks incredible. I am very excited about that. Yeah, I cannot wait for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Like, oh man, it looks so good. It looks so fucking good. And I'm interested to see where they go from here. Do they completely end the franchise? Because I believe Dave Bautista said he's not playing Drax anymore. I'm not sure about everybody else. So I don't know what direction they're going to go in. But yeah, speaking of Dave Bautista, watched one of his movies. Watched a lot of movies this... I was going to say this week, but it was more... There's a bigger gap than a week between this and the last episode. I did end up watching a movie starring Bautista's new movie, Knock at the Cabin, which I thought was... You know, we'll talk about that later. I thought it was good. Fuck it. I was going to tease that I didn't like it, but I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. I do like M. Night Shyamalan's movies. Most of them. There are some that are not very good. But I would say for the most part, his movies are always pretty decent. Actually, I have not watched as many as I thought I did. I've watched... I don't know if I watched all of Sixth Sense, but I've watched most of it. Actually, I just tried to cough, and I remember that I really hurt myself. Actually, you know what? We'll tell that story first. I ended up really hurting myself the other day. I woke up, and I had a really, like... Not a sharp pain, but I had a pain on my left side, like the left side of my ribs. And then I was vacuuming, and I sneezed, and I felt like something tear inside of me. And I am in so much pain now. I was more in pain yesterday, the first day it happened. I'm still in pain now, like I can't move certain ways. I can't laugh, I can't sneeze, I can't cough. Everything hurts me. I was just more concerned about me feeling a tear. Like, I didn't feel a pop. I felt a tear. Like something rip inside of me. So that kind of scared me. But yeah, I almost immediately, as soon as I fucking sneezed, I felt that pain. And I just feel so stupid because, like, you hurt yourself sneezing? What the fuck? What's wrong with you, you weakling? But yeah, I guess it was a vicious sneeze. I don't know. I've never felt a sensation like that before when I've sneezed. It destroyed me. And the worst thing about it, now I have to like sneeze all the time. I have to cough and shit, and I can't do any of that. And I think everything's funny. I was watching this YouTube video the other day. I might have not laughed if I wasn't hurt, but now that I'm hurt, I find like everything funny, and I can't laugh now. It sucks. It really, really sucks. I'm suffering, but I'll survive. Just need a few days of rest. I'm a little bit better. I forced myself to sleep, because I usually sleep on my left side, and of course that's where my injury is. I forced myself to sleep on my left side, because 1, I wasn't going to sleep and get a good night's rest. 2, just sleep through the pain. Maybe the sleep will help me just kind of like negate the pain, kind of. But yeah, it didn't work. Hopefully I will feel better soon. And what was I mentioning before that? So, Knock at the Cabin in the Woods, new movie from M. Night Shyamalan. Oh, I was talking about M. Night Shyamalan movies. I forgot. I like an M. Night Shyamalan movie. I haven't watched all his movies. I'd be lying if I said I did. But I like what I've seen. My favorite would probably be Devil, which isn't even a movie that he directed, but he like wrote. But I still consider it a M. Night Shyamalan movie, because his fingerprints are like all over the movie. But yeah, you have movies like Sixth Sense, you have movies like Lady in the Water, I believe it's called. Haven't watched that one. I remember seeing trailers for it when it was coming out. Village I've never seen. I saw The Visit with the grandparents. I saw... Oh, how can I forget? Unbreakable. Unbreakable, Split, Glass. I've seen Unbreakable. I'm pretty sure I've seen all of it, but I've definitely seen most of it. I haven't seen Split or Glass. I've always wanted to see Split, but after I found out the what happens and, you know, the twist, I was like, you know, I don't know if I want to watch it anymore. But I do want to watch Split still, because I believe his name is James McAvoy. Could be wrong on that one. But just watching him play like 20 plus different people seems like fun. Seems like a fun time. Maybe I'm not a big M. Night Shyamalan movie guy. I guess I haven't seen as much as I thought I did. Anyways, fuck it. I still like I like what I've seen. But his newest movie, Knock at the Cabin. It's a weird movie, Knock at the Cabin, because you want to say Knock at the Cabin in the Woods. It's pretty good. It's based on a movie, which is called Knock at the Cabin at the End of the World, something along those lines. And I thought it was good. I watched the trailer. I remember being very interested in it. You got Batista, who plays like this very soft-spoken, kind of preachery guy. And, you know, it's very intimidating because he approaches this little girl, and he just comes off as kind of scary. He's probably the best part of the movie. I've seen a lot of people say that. He really is the star of the movie, and he does have a big leading role. He's in the movie throughout the whole thing. I'm not going to talk too much about it because it's still new, and you know, there are people that haven't seen it and stuff like that, so I'm not going to go to like too much spoiler territory, but it's a good movie. I'd actually recommend it. Even if you're like slightly curious about it, you're like an M. Night Shyamalan movie fan, check out Knock at the Cabin. I really enjoyed it. It's about this family. The family consists of two homosexual dads, and their adopted daughter, Wen, who is of Asian descent. The parents are white. And then these people come out of the woods and hold the family hostage. And, you know, it kind of leads you to believe, like, oh, it's kind of a hate crime because they're gay and stuff like that. But then there's a much more sinister twist at hand. What is it? You'll have to wait to see, but everyone in the movie was good. Like, you got Batista, you've got... The only other actor I was aware of was, I don't remember his name. It's the guy that played Ron Weasley in Harry Potter. I'm not a Harry Potter guy, so I don't know his name. But the guy that plays Ron Weasley, he is in the movie as well. And I think he's the only other person of note that, like, a big name. If anybody else is, I'm not too familiar with them. So you have this family, the two dads and the girl, and they go to the cabin. This random cabin, and you know, they go to have a vacation, and they are taken hostage by Batista and a couple of these random people. We'll just call them strangers. These strangers that just pop out of the cabin in the woods. They say that the end of the world is coming, and only this family can stop the end of the world. I won't get into any more than that. I think that's all that was kind of revealed in the trailer. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. Maybe I'm just too dumb, because after I watched the movie, I'm just like, I need to watch a video of like somebody breaking it down. You know, is there something I missed or whatnot? And so I watched the movie. I really enjoyed it. There was some stuff that I felt was kind of left up in the air for interpretation. So I ended up watching like a YouTube video breaking it down. Like, oh yeah, this is this. This was an allegory for this. This meant this. And I was like, oh man, wow, that's actually pretty cool. Anyways, the ending was okay. It is an M. Night Shyamalan movie, so at some point there is a twist. I thought it was a little short. I would have liked to seen it gone on a little bit longer and then kind of explore some stuff, but I guess it's better if it's more vague than anything. So I don't know, there was some stuff I would have liked to seen expanded upon, but the movie's only like an hour and 40 minutes, and it's less than that, to be honest, because, you know, credits and shit. I would say it's about an hour and 30 minutes, and they pretty much get into the movie like right away. Like right away, you thought there was like going to be a little bit of build-up, but almost instantly like shit starts happening. So I thought all the acting was good, especially the little girl, where typically I hate like kid actors, but she was fantastic. And I come to find out that this was actually her first acting gig ever. And it's like, wow, she fucking killed it, bro. She did a great job. Can't say enough good things about her. She was adorable. She cared about her fathers. It was just cute. It was a really cute movie. Or not, the movie wasn't cute. There was some stuff that happened that was pretty horrifying, especially for a little girl like herself. Yeah, I'm not going to talk too much about it because I feel like I'm going to start going into spoiler territory. But very enjoyable movie. I would highly recommend. Good watch. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. So the movie is based on a book. And I did end up reading I didn't end up reading the book. I ended up reading the synopsis for the book on Wikipedia. It like breaks down the whole thing. And I did like the ending in the book better. I thought the ending in the movie was okay. But once I saw what the ending was in the book, you're always curious about that. Like, oh, what do they do different from the book? The ending was quite different from what was in the movie. I would have liked to see what they did in the movie or in the book, sorry, because it's definitely an interesting choice. I don't know how audiences would have reacted to what happened in the book compared to the movie, but I thought it was a very enjoyable movie. I can't recommend that one enough. Knock at the Cabin, good movie, check it out. And then everything else was like, so for this set of movies that I watch, I tried to not rewatch anything. I wanted everything to be like a new experience. I did end up watching or rewatching a movie. Only one of them was a rewatch. Everything else was new experience. So yeah, I did rewatch one movie. We'll just talk about it first because I won't have much to say about it as like the newer movies that I watched. But the movie I rewatched was a movie called Spotlight, which is a really good movie. Very well acted, great storytelling. It's based on a true story, so when stuff like that, it like adds to the movie, in my opinion. But yeah, Spotlight is about a bunch of reporters who are investigating a bunch of priests in Boston who have allegations against them for abusing kids. And they uncover like this huge ring of priests who've been abusing kids for a long time, and it's kind of being swept under the rug, and people have known about it. Even people in the church have known about it, and what they end up doing is just moving the priest. So, oh, this priest got a complaint? Okay, now we're going to move him to a different parish. It's a pretty crazy story, plus it's based on a true story, so it's a heck of a movie. I would actually recommend it. It's got some pretty big actors in it as well. Mark Ruffalo, Michael Keaton, Rachel McAdams. Who else is in the movie? Liev Schreiber. It's a big movie. Like, I think it won a bunch of awards and shit. Like, well reviewed. I believe it does have some acting awards, whether it be like an Academy Award, an Oscar, something along those lines. But yeah, it was a really good movie. Like, I can't say enough good things about it. It was just good. It's worth checking out if you want like a more serious movie. That was a fun rewatch. And then everything else I watched was new. I've never seen it before. Actually, one thing I can talk about is Netflix changing their password shit. So, obviously Netflix has talked about this for a while now, that they are going to cut down on password sharing, and I don't know if they're going to punish people, but they're just going to clamp down on it. They feel like they're losing business, and they feel like the people that are password sharing, they're going to charge those people, and those people are going to switch over and be paying customers. That's not what's going to happen. But anyways, we won't get into that. Anyways, I have a Netflix account that I borrow from my uncle. He pays for 4 accounts. So it's him, his daughters, he's got 2 daughters, and his wife. They each have their own Netflix account. He pays for 4 accounts. Now, the daughters all use their own, and the wife uses hers. He doesn't really watch stuff. Anytime he watches stuff, he watches it with his wife, so he doesn't really need a Netflix account, so he ended up giving it to me. So I've been using the Netflix account. Well, one day I tried to watch some stuff, you know, movies to talk about, and it's like, oh yeah, we know you're not the primary account holder, so we are restricting your access. It can only be for the people who own the account. And it's like, okay. It was implemented in like Europe or some shit, and then they were gonna, you know, bring it out everywhere. I didn't expect Canada to be like the second place that they implement this shit, but whatever it was. And yeah, now we can't share Netflix accounts anymore, which is fine. It's not that big of a deal to me. Like, it sucks, but my whole thing is like, my uncle pays for 4 accounts. Like, why the fuck can I have it? If he was paying for 1 account and like 7 people were using it, yeah, I can see the issue. But he's paying for 4 accounts, and 4 people are using the account, so I thought that was kind of Bolshevik, but, you know, that's just my thoughts. So anyway, so I haven't been able to use Netflix anymore for movies. So I remembered I had Prime Video. I bought Prime to order something, and I let it roll over, so I got it for 2 months. And I completely forgot that, you know, you also get Prime Video. I think a lot of people don't even realize that you get Prime Video along with Prime. But I'm like, oh yeah, I get Prime Video, and I didn't really have a reason to use it before because I was using his Netflix account. But I'm like, you know what? I see a lot of people talking about canceling their Netflix subscription and switching to blah 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 or blah blah blah, Hulu, Prime Video, whatever the fuck else. And I'm like, oh, you know what? Let me check out Prime Video. Let me see their selection. I think their selection is fucking dog shit. They might have some good original stuff, but in terms of like movies, I think it sucks. Like, I think their movie selection is fucking awful. Now that I know they have like the Lord of the Rings stuff, and they have a couple like exclusive shows that do well, but the movie selection, dog shit, absolute dog shit. And I ended up watching a few of those dog shit movies. Some of them were good. There was one that was really bad. I watched Spotlight on Prime Video, and I was just kind of going through and seeing what they have. And I saw some movies I wanted to watch. One of them that I watched was absolutely dog shit. I remember seeing trailers for it as a kid, and it seemed kind of freaky. I never watched it until now. But the movie's called Fear.com. You know, I'm always down for a horror movie. Yeah, this one was bad. This was a bad fucking movie. This movie actually came out in like early 2000s. I think it might even been 2000 or 2002, something like that. It's an old movie. And my god, is it so dog shit. It's a terrible fucking horror movie. It's not scary. It's not long. It just feels very long. It might even be worse than Catwoman, which we watched on the last episode. It was absolutely horrendous. I went and like looked up reviews and shit on Rotten Tomatoes. It has a 3%, just to give you an idea. I'm not sure what Catwoman had on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't remember her score. It was low. I don't remember if it was 3% low. But yeah, Fear.com, absolutely dog shit. Do not watch it. It's horrendous. One of the worst movies I've watched in quite some time. It's dog shit. Not even so bad it's good. It's just horrendous. Absolutely bad. Don't Don't check it out. One of the worst things I saw that like I thought was pretty funny was, so the movie's called Fear.com. So I'll just talk about it a little bit. The movie's about, you go to this website and the next 48 hours you die. You get haunted to death and you die. Very original concept, right? Actually, I think it came out before The Ring. Don't quote me on that. I'm not too sure. I never watched The Ring. I'm not sure when that movie came out. So they go to Fear.com, then they become haunted by this ghost, whatever. And one thing that I just thought was so funny about it is, you know, the website that you go to be haunted is called fear.com, all spelled out, you know, .com, not the period com. It's fear, F-E-A-R, .dot, you spelled that out, you spell out .com. That's the name of the website. That's just to give you like a little hint of how fucking shit the movie is. Even the website for the movie is fucking dog shit. So, I thought that was absolutely hilarious. I don't think there's any notable actors in it. You know, back in like the early 2000s, they would just make horror movies with anybody. I feel like that's kind of what this was. Where it's like, okay, we're going to take a bunch of people, these small named actors who, you know, probably don't require a big paycheck. You know, they're just happy to get a movie. And we're going to throw them in this dog shit movie. And, yeah, it was bad. So, yeah, Fear.com, do not check it out. Because you might get haunted to death. You wouldn't want that. That would kind of suck, right? I think that might have been the worst thing I watched. Everything else was, like, pretty good to really good. Before I got fucked on Netflix, I did watch one movie before I couldn't watch anymore. If you watched the last episode, I talked about a lot of Jake Gyllenhaal movies. I watched 2 Jake Gyllenhaal movies. I watched End of Watch and I watched Prisoners. And I was like, man, I want to watch some more Jake Gyllenhaal movies. So I ended up watching another one. I believe this is a Netflix movie called The Guilty. And it's about, you know, Jake Gyllenhaal. He plays a character who is a police 911 operator. There's a reason he's a 911 operator. He's actually a cop, but he got demoted to 911 operator. There's a whole story behind that. I'm not going to get into it, because that's part of the plot. I thought the movie was alright. The movie is basically just him solo acting. There's a couple people around him, but for the most part, the movie can get kind of boring. I can see why people wouldn't like it, where it's a camera that's just fixated on Jake Gyllenhaal's face. Where he's this 911 operator. There's a catalyst for him being the 911 operator, like I said, and that plays into the movie, and you know that's kind of always on his mind. He gets a call, and it's this woman who's been kidnapped, basically, and she's talking in code to Jake Gyllenhaal to be like, I'm in trouble, blah blah blah. And he's kind of got to help this woman from, you know, being a 911 operator. And he's getting frustrated because, you know, the cop in him is just like, man, I should be out there helping her and shit. And he feels like no one else really wants to help her. The movie's basically just him on the phone the whole time. I know that doesn't sound too interesting. It's pretty gripping. Like, it's a very tense movie. They had me for most of the movie. There was some times where I kind of like, I don't want to say I was getting bored, but I was getting bored. In the beginning, they gripped me. I was like, man, you know, this movie just seems so cool. I really want to know what's going to happen with the lady and shit. And, you know, on the phone, she's like, oh, yeah, I got a kid, or 2 kids. She's got 2 kids, a boy and a girl. It's like, man, you just want to see this mom who's been kidnapped get back to her children. And then you learn more about the case. And it is just a really interesting movie. So, like I said, they lost me a little bit in the middle. But by the end of it, I was back in and I really enjoyed it. But yeah, it's a good movie. It's not for everybody. Like, if you have a low attention span, this movie might not be for you. But it is good. I would say give it a chance. It's called The Guilty. That's the name of the movie. I think I mentioned that before. In case I did not, that's what it's called. The Guilty. And yeah, it was a good movie. I really enjoyed it. Fun little Jake Gyllenhaal movie, another one where he plays a cop. All these movies have something in common. He played a cop in all of them. Played a cop in Prisoners, played a cop in End of Watch, and played a cop in The Guilty. Maybe I just like him as a cop. I don't want to typecast him, but I think he makes a good cop. And he's got enough experience from it now where, you know, he's played enough cop roles to do a good job. Yeah, The Guilty, I would actually recommend that one. Another movie I watched, which I didn't think I was going to like at all. I thought I was going to actually hate it. I don't know what made me watch it. I wanted to watch a comedy, that was it. I wanted to watch a comedy, and for some reason I ended up landing on this one. It's a movie called Get Hard. It's starring Will Ferrell and Kevin Hart. Will Ferrell plays this businessman, and he's being framed for, like, some fraud case, and he's going to jail. And Kevin Hart plays this, he plays a guy that works with Will Ferrell, but he washes cars in the, like, parking garage complex where all the employees park their car. He goes to Kevin Hart to be like, hey, I'm going to jail. Can you make me tough? He's going to this, like, really hard prison, and he wants Kevin Hart to, you know, turn him into a tough guy. And I thought it was actually a really good movie. I actually enjoyed it way more than I thought I was going to. I'm not the biggest Will Ferrell or Kevin Hart fan. And then having them together, I was like, ooh, I don't know about this. But I thought they actually made a great team. And I thought this movie was actually pretty funny. I would actually recommend this one, Get Hard. A lot of fun moments. It was actually quite funny. There are a lot of funny laugh out loud moments. You know, a lot of physical humor with Will Ferrell, because that's what he's really known for. I can't recommend that one enough. Very surprising. Surprised me. I thought it was good. And one thing I did like about it as well, this is for my wrestling peeps, Shad Gaspard, who was a wrestler, he actually died a couple years ago, and he ended up dying because he tried to save his son's life. His son was out in the water, and was swept up in a it was like a tidal wave or something. Not a tidal wave, but it was like I don't know what it was, but the son was like, this is actually a real life story where he actually saved his son's life. Something about water, where the son was getting trapped under the water. Shad Gaspard, former wrestler, saw that his son was in trouble, actually went, saved his son, and saved him from the water. Unfortunately, he lost his life in doing so. Anyways, all that to say that he had a role in this movie. He actually had some speaking lines too. He's not like a background character, but it was just really cool to see him in this movie. So I really enjoyed seeing that on top of enjoying the movie as a whole. It really added to the movie for me. Anyways, not to make this like depressing, but I thought that was really cool to have him in the movie. And this was like way before he died. The movie came out in 2015. I believe he died in 2020. Get Hard, I would recommend. I really enjoyed that. I thought it was way funnier than what I expected it to be. Will Ferrell and Kevin Hart, they had great chemistry. Next movie I watched was a bit of a throwback. It's a movie I've always heard a lot of good things about. But the actor in this movie is very hit or miss. Usually it's miss, because he doesn't really give a shit. And that actor is Bruce Willis, and the movie I'm talking about is The Fifth Element. Never watched The Fifth Element, but I've always heard a lot of good things about it. Just being like a really good action movie. Sci-fi too, a lot of sci-fi elements in it. And I'm like, you know what, I've never watched it. It was popping up, being recommended to me. This is when I was still on Netflix. And I'm like, you know what, I'm going to watch The Fifth Element. I want to see why people really think it's a good movie. And I want to see if it'll hold up, because movies that were like, you know, it came out in, I believe, 97, and I'm like, oh, you know, I want to see if it still holds up in, you know, 2023. And I'm happy to say, it does still hold up. I thought it was actually a pretty good movie. So the movie's about, like, this ancient evil who's coming back to, like, the end of the world, wants to destroy Earth, you know, blah, blah, blah. The only way they can stop this evil is if they get the Fifth Element, as you can tell by the name of the movie. And the Fifth Element was put into an alien. So the element was actually a living embodiment, but anyways, I digress. It was actually really good. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. In the movie, you've got Bruce Willis, Chris Tucker, who was fun to see. You know, we watched the You know, in the past few episodes we watched Rush Hour, and obviously Chris Rock is a big part of that. But, you know, when I was looking at his, like, IMDb and Wikipedia for filmography, he actually has not been in a lot of movies. But the movies that he has been in have been, like, very memorable, where, you know, you've got Friday, you've got Rush Hour, you've got The Fifth Element. It's a very small sample size. But he was really entertaining in this movie, too. He played, oh my god, I forgot the character's name. But it was, like, perfect for him. Like, it was made for him. The character was super annoying, and he really, you know, he can play annoying. Mila Jovovich, I believe is her name. The girl who was in the Resident Evil movies. I forgot how to pronounce her name. Mila Jovovich, something along those lines. First name's Mila. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. And Gary Oldman is also in this movie, and he is almost unrecognizable. I didn't even know it was him. I looked at, like, who was in the movie, like IMDb and shit, and I'm like, oh shit, Gary Oldman's in the movie? Who the fuck was he? Oh, he was the main villain. I could not tell it was him. He is, I don't want to say a chameleon, but, like, he did have some prosthetics, I believe, on his face. But, yeah, I could not tell it was him for the life of me. But yeah, he plays the main villain. He does a good job. It's just a really fun movie. It's a really sci-fi heavy. It takes place in the future, and there's like flying cars and shit. There's aliens. It was a really good movie, and for 1997, a lot of those effects are, you would think would look dated, but they don't look that dated. It actually looks pretty good. They didn't use a lot of CGI. All the aliens were costumes. Like, it was a lot of cool a lot of cool costume and set designs. I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed this movie. One bad thing about this movie, it's not even like anything bad, it's just like dumb. They say the title of the movie way too many times. The Fifth Element. The Fifth Element. They say it about a dozen times. It's kind of like, alright, we got it. The Fifth Element. We get it. It's very important to the movie. The Fifth Element. Yes. Other than that, I thought it was pretty good. Bruce Willis actually gave a shit about being in the movie, so that is always a plus. And, yeah, I don't really have any negatives to say about the movie. I would actually recommend this one. Even though it's an older movie, it still holds up. I would say it still holds up. It might be even better than some of the stuff that comes out now. I'm happy I finally watched The Fifth Element and say that, because whenever people would talk about it, they talk about it in such high regard, like, oh yeah, this is a great action movie, great sci-fi movie. I gotta agree, I'm glad I finally watched it. I think it held up, and it's a good watch. Good watch if you're looking for an action sci-fi movie with a good cast. Next movie I watched was, next two movies I watched were animated movies. First one I watched was a movie I've kind of wanted to watch for a while, because I wanted to see what they were going to do with it. And the movie that I'm talking about is Angry Birds. Yeah, they made a movie based on the famous mobile game Angry Birds, which is a game about throwing birds with a slingshot at towers that have pigs in them to kill them because they've kidnapped your eggs. And I was interested to see how they were going to turn that into a movie. I gotta see if this is any good. And I'm happy to say, the movie is actually good. It's way better than I expected. It is pretty funny. A lot of adult jokes for a kid's movie, which I was very surprised about. Way more than you would expect. That was a nice little surprise, you know, some for the adults that have to take their kids to the movies. Yeah, it was just way better than I expected. It's got a great voice cast. You got Jason Sudeikis, Key from Key and Peele, Keegan-Michael something, I forgot his full name. Kate McKinnon, you've got Danny McBride, you've got Josh Gad, you've got Peter Dinklage. Like, it's really a insane cast. And yeah, it's just a nice little short animated movie. Doesn't overextend its welcome. It's quite enjoyable, like I said, a lot of adult jokes. It was way better than it had any right being. I would actually recommend Angry Birds. I know as ridiculous as that sounds, it was just that good. Just the only thing that's bad about it is it came like way after the Angry Birds craze. where Angry Birds used to be like the biggest mobile game ever. Like when you talk about mobile games, you're talking about Angry Birds. Like that's how big it was. And now, not so much. It sucks that it didn't come out when it was popular, but you know, it is what it is. It actually got a sequel. There's 2 Angry Bird movies, so it was successful enough. And I actually look forward to watching the sequel because I enjoyed the first one that much. Like I thought it was really funny, and just a lot of good moments. Highly, you know what? Recommend Angry Birds the movie if you have not watched it yet. Great animated movie. The animation itself was really good. Story was okay. Like there's nothing to write home about. The animation, the voice casting, and the jokes. Just a perfect recipe for a really good animated movie. And a lot of good Easter eggs. They had an Easter egg for The Shining. They had an Easter egg based on the X-Men Days of Future Past. A lot of cool, funny stuff. Highly recommend that one. And then the other animated movie I watched, there's 2 more movies I watched. This animated movie and another one. Not another animated movie, but one more movie after that. The other animated movie I watched was Catwoman Hunted. So, you know, I watched the live-action Catwoman movie on the last episode and did not really enjoy that. And I remember that there was another Catwoman movie that came out, and it was an animated movie. And DC's animated stuff is usually really good. It's good to really good. And I remember when this was announced and I watched the trailer, and it was a different art style, you know, where the DC animated stuff, it's very, what's the word I'm looking for? It's very cookie cutter, you know, they don't really deviate too much away from their art style, but the art style for this movie was more, it's more of an anime art style, Japanese anime, and I was kind of curious to see how that would work out in this movie, and I'm happy to say that I thought it did pretty well. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit. It felt very different from the other DC animated stuff, which, I'm going to be honest, the last few DC animated movies I've watched have just kind of felt whatever. This made it feel fresh. Just the art style, I think, added a lot to the movie. So I enjoyed the art style quite a bit. The story was okay, like nothing too crazy. Voice acting was pretty good. Didn't recognize any of the voices. I went back and like looked at the voice cast, but I didn't recognize any of the names, so not to say it's not good or anything. Yeah, usually there's like 1 or 2 voices that you recognize. It wasn't really the case on this one, which I don't think takes any points away from it. I just didn't know any of the voices. The movie itself I thought was pretty good. You know, I was kind of curious to see what they would do with a Catwoman movie, right? But basically the story is Catwoman steals this she steals some gem from Black Mask, who's trying to get into like this group of supervillains, or mobsters, but there's some supervillains in it. So it's actually got quite a bit of DC characters in it. You got Tobias Wales, who a lot of people might not know, but if you watch the Black Lightning show, which is, you know, in the Flash universe and stuff like that, he's like the main villain, or he was the main villain. I stopped watching like halfway through season 1. But he played a big part when I was watching. Actually, I think I watched all of season 1. Anyways, a lot of DC characters in it. You got Catwoman, Batwoman, Tobias Wales, Solomon Grundy, Black Mask, and there's another one in there that I completely forgot her name, because they kept referring to her as her, they kept using her real name, not her like code name. So I forgot who that was, but once she ended up transforming, I was like, oh yeah, that person. The movie is set all over Europe. It has nothing to do with Gotham. Batman's mentioned like once, maybe twice, but he really doesn't have he definitely doesn't appear in the movie. And one thing I have written down in my notes is, you know, it's a Japanese anime when you have someone piloting a mech, and there was someone piloting a mech, of course. Because, you know, it's Japanese anime. You gotta have that. So there is someone piloting a mech, in case you were worried. I'm trying to read my notes here. I found the music a little annoying, and I do stand by that. It really sounded like fighting game music. I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's the type of music I feel like I would have heard in, like, Marvel vs. Capcom. I don't know, I just found it annoying, and they used it a lot. Yeah, I don't know if I like the Japanese anime style for Batman. It's different. You know, we've had Batman Ninja, who has done that same art style.
One more down.
And,
30 million to go.
and now Catwoman. I kind of like it, but I don't want to see it completely take over the DC animated stuff. But I think it's fun to incorporate from time to time, just to kind of change up the art style and stuff. And then the last movie I watched, which I've wanted to watch for a good while, same with Angry Birds, it is The Expendables. I have never watched The Expendables. I've always wanted to. I'll talk about why I haven't. But The Expendables, if you're not aware, which I don't know how many people aren't aware, because it was a pretty big movie, but it's basically the Avengers of action heroes, where you've got action heroes from past and current success all teaming up as one super group and killing people. Basically, you had like Sylvester Stallone, Jason Statham, Terry Crews, Dolph Lundgren, Mickey Rourke, Jet Li. It's got a good cast. There's even other people that appear in the movie. They don't have as big a role, but it's cool to see them in the movie. And that was people like Bruce Willis, people like Arnold Schwarzenegger. They have little cameos in the movie. And then as far as the cast, you know, you've got Stone Cold was in there. That was a fun one to see. I thought he was alright. Unfortunately, he played a villain and not a hero, so he wasn't a part of the Expendables group. I would have liked to seen him as part of the Expendables and then maybe take out... There's a couple of people in the Expendable group I didn't agree with. There was two people in particular who I don't really consider action stars. I would have liked to seen other people in their place. So the first one was Randy Couture. He's part of the Expendables. I think this was his first acting role. He might have had other ones, but he's not someone who I consider, you know, an action star. So him being on the Expendables, I thought was kind of weird, where like you have Stone Cold, who has been in some action movies, like that jail movie where they're all put on an island. It's kind of like the Hunger Games, Last One Survives. I think it's called Condemned. He did a couple like WWE movies, and they were all action and stuff. So I think he would have been a good fit for the Expendables. And then the other one I didn't agree with was Terry Crews. You know, when I think Terry Crews, I think more like comedy. I don't think of him in too many action roles. Maybe he did some, but I cannot think of any. So him being part of the Expendables, I thought was weird. If you wanted like a black guy, you know, to make it a diverse group, I think someone like a Michael Jai White, who was in like Spawn, and he's done a bunch of like these, this is gonna sound disrespectful, a bunch of like direct-to-DVD kind of action movies. So he's got a lot of action credentials, though. I think the biggest action movie he's been in was probably Spawn, and, you know, that's not the greatest thing. Or someone like Wesley Snipes, who I know was offered a role and he ends up appearing in a later Expendables. There's been 3 Expendables, and they're currently working on a 4th one, which I think is finished filming. I could be wrong on that. I believe I read that when I was reading stuff about the Expendables 1, but there's definitely a 4th one in the works. Yeah, Terry Crews and Randy Couture, I mean, they're okay. Randy doesn't really do anything. Terry Crews as well, he doesn't really have a big role. He has one scene in the movie where he fucking mows down a group of people with a AA shotgun, which was pretty fun. Very loud scene, holy shit. I mean, a AA shotgun is a automatic shotgun, so it's going to be very loud. It was in like this close quarters, like cave type thing. Underground bunker. It was very, very loud. And everyone didn't really get a chance to shine. The movie mainly focuses on Sylvester Stallone and Jason Statham. They're like the 2 main guys. Everyone else is kind of like just there. Like some people have some moments, like Jet Li has some moments. He has a cool fight scene with somebody. And yeah, overall, like it was a fun movie. Like, you don't care about the story. Who gives a shit about the story? You want to see all these guys fucking just mowing down hordes of people together. And you get that. There's like a huge action scene at the end. The only downside of the movie, and the reason why I waited so long, is because, you know, everyone's just kind of old. Like, if they did this like 15 years ago, I think it would have been cool. But you got these guys, they just look so fucking old now. You know, like Schwarzenegger and Stallone. And Dolph Lundgren too, he looks fucking ancient. Everyone else looks like okay, like Jason Statham, he looks pretty young. Jet Li looks pretty good. Terry Crews looks super young. He's looked the same for like years, like he hasn't aged any. Bruce Willis, I would say he's old, but he doesn't look that old compared to like everyone else. Like Stallone looks super old. Like he just looks fucking... He looks old, plus he's had a lot of work done on his face, so it just kind of shows. So yeah, if this came out like 15 years before and everyone's still, I don't want to say in the prime of their careers, but still kind of relevant compared to like, you know, because this movie came out in 2010. And this is like when everyone's starting to get old, you know. Everyone's still kind of doing their franchise, you know, Stallone's still doing like Rambo movies. Schwarzenegger's still doing Terminator movies. You got Bruce Willis still doing Die Hard movies. So yeah, if it just came out like just a little bit earlier, like maybe 5 to 10 years, I'd say 5 at most, because everyone was still successful like in early 2000s. So I'd say like if it came out like 2005, oh my god, this movie would have been a fucking box office smash. I don't know how it did box office wise. Obviously it did well enough to get 2 other movies and a 3rd incoming. But yeah, just everyone just seemed kind of old. And you know, with the Expendables 2 and 3, everyone just gets older. So I'm curious to see how everyone looks in that movie. And yeah, just some of the action scenes, there's just a lot of cuts. Like I would have liked to just seen some of the scenes play out. A lot of cuts to hide everyone's, you know, can barely move because they're all fucking 50 plus, going on 60, some going fucking mid 60s. Yeah, that's my only critique of the movie. If it just happened sooner while everyone was younger, it would have been cooler. But with everyone being older, it's just kind of whatever. But other than that, it's just a fun, stupid movie. Like, the story doesn't matter. You're there for the action. You're there for the people. It's cool to see some of these people on screen together, because, like, I was reading stuff, and, like, Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger were never in a movie or anything together. This was the first time they were on screen together. So that's really cool. But, like I said, just a couple of years too late. But I do want to watch Expendables 2 and 3. That will definitely be on the next set of movies that we'll be talking about. I want to watch Angry Birds 2, and I want to watch Expendables 2, maybe even the 3rd one as well. We'll see. I would say it's worth checking out. It's not too long. It's a pretty short movie, and it's pretty entertaining throughout, so yeah, check it out. But out of all the movies I watched, I would say if you're looking for a fun little comedy, Get Hard, Angry Birds, better than what you probably would think. If you're looking for just like a good movie with good acting and story, I would say Spotlight. And then Knock at the Cabin. I mean, that's more of a new release, but that was a fun one to watch. Yeah, other than that, everything else was just alright. From what I remember. Don't watch Fear.com. That's the only one where it's like, yeah, stay the fuck away from that. Everything else is like pretty decent to watch. To good. So, that is going to be it for me in this episode of Gangsta Plays, episode 304. We played Guns, Gore, and Cannoli. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you're interested in checking out the game, I will put a link to it in the description. And you can go check it out and have a good time. And again, if you enjoyed this one, there is also a sequel as well. So check it out. And yeah, so the small little announcement portion that I have for the next episode, episode 305, it's going to affect the random episodes. So if you're not familiar, every 5 episodes that end in a 5 or a 0, we play a random game. Starting with episode 305, we're going to change things up. So we're still going to be doing random games, but we're going to change up the how we get to the random game. So right now we do the Wheel of Randomness, and that kind of determines what game we're going to play. We're going to be retiring / giving it a break, and we're going to be implementing a new system. So look forward to that. And I think it's going to be a lot more fun than the Wheel of Randomness. I like the Wheel of Randomness. I think it's fun, you know, kind of like a Wheel of Fortune type thing. What's it gonna land on? But I think this next thing that I'm gonna be doing to kind of determine what the random game is, I think it's gonna be better, more fun, and it's gonna add to it. I don't want to give too much away, but I think it's going to add quite a bit. It's gonna be a lot more fun. I'll just say that. A lot more fun to determine what the random games are, so look forward to that. So yeah, episode 305, we'll be doing a random game, and we'll be implementing our new system on what game we are going to be playing, so look forward to that. Not a big update, just a small little change. It'll be better when you kind of see it in action. It's kind of hard to explain and to hype it up, but it will be more fun. I can say that. Look forward to that in the next episode of Gangsta Plays. Actually, the next episode's going to be pretty tight because for episode 300, before I came up with the theme, I was gonna do random games, and I ended up picking like a bunch of like big name games. So what I ended up doing is I just took those games and we're dragging it forward to episode 305. So whatever game we do get for episode 305, it's gonna be a big AAA title game. Like big, we're in for a good time in episode 305, so you're not going to want to miss that. So look forward to that. And other than that, that is going to be it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed. Keep up with everything that's going on the channel, and I'll catch you guys next time. And until then, guys,
show up talking crazy.
peace out.